During the initial blue sky development phase, we call it the discovery phase, design was tasked with, like, we're going to blow the gameplay, over the top. We're going to exceed players' expectations. And we quickly found that over the top is not a binary definition. Everyone has their own interpretation of it.
Activity-wise, there hasn't been too much that's been too over the top. Definitely weapon-wise was, I think, where we started to scare ourselves.
There were a couple of examples that, obviously for ES or B and H ratings, we just couldn't do it. Some that were just overtly offensive, even for Saints Row.
Fart in the jar was kind of the one that we were not sure what to do with that.
Yes, there was a weapon called a fart in the jar, and it was going to be one of the special offhand grenade that we had. And I think in concept that actually works in the Saints Row universe. It is sophomoric in a good way. We like that. We want that. We think our players like that and look forward to it. But it was actually difficult in the execution side of things. I mean, how do you really get across that someone is being nauseated by the smell of flatulence?
There's the joke, and then there's the game. And how long can that joke remain funny, I think, is part of the problem with that one. I'm given one of these crazy ideas, and it's a matter of how do we make that happen. Some things look good on paper, but until it actually gets into the game and you can sit down and play it, you really don't know what you got.
For Saints Row 3, I think our most exciting activity is Professor Genki's Super Ethical Reality Climax. It's basically taking the idea of Japanese game shows and going even further over the top with them, where it's just Japanese game shows plus The Running Man with Schwarzenegger, and you combine those two and you're running through these crazy traps. You've got fire traps, you've got mascots, you've got furries, you've got people attacking you, and you need to make it to the end to win the game show. So if you think of like MXC, it's like MXC on steroids.
When we started out early on, we experimented with a lot of drugs in the game. And we had, anything that we could throw out there, some crazy hallucinogenics, things that made you see aliens. And we just tried whatever we could think of. And some of that worked and some of that didn't. And some of that has been repurposed into other things and has found a new home somewhere else in the game.
Saints Row the Third and all its predecessors as an open world game is built primarily on systems, and it's not uncommon at all for you to see very interesting things happen in the world AI if you let the game idle. You can see anything from cops and gang members fighting each other. There was a time where I specifically remember I was revving up my car, slammed into a pedestrian in another car hit my car, got out, started fighting another person. The cops came, started shooting them, and for some reason there were gang members walking in the scene. They got in a fight, and it all erupted in this big cacophony of bullets flying. So those types of events happen all the time, and it's actually something we really like, and it's part of what makes Saints Row Saints Row.
Anytime we see something cool or start to see something like it could be cool, it's all a matter of trying to figure out how we can set up that situation so that it would happen more often and we can have that same cool action happen to other players.
When people started playing co-op here in the office early on, they would start to someone would go into their game and get super far along. They would have their cribs all decked out, and so they would go into the other player's crib and they could start a fight with the homies, and all of a sudden you've got 30 guys in your crib, you attack one of them, he gets pissed off at you, and so all 30 of your homies turn on him instantly and start blasting him, and then they just go back to their business of drinking their 40s and smoking their blunts.
We push things pretty far. We can tend to ignore the rules of physics or just the limits of the body, but when you can get shot in the chest 5 times and still run away, then you're already pushing the bounds anyway, so let's push a little further and see what we can get.